What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about Opendoor, I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what's moving it and where I see things going. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Opendoor is up 5.19%, 822 the low, 904 the high, and a lot of volume. So 160 million shares being traded, 135 is the average. So a lot of volume just coming out right now. So things are starting to really heat up. There was a lot of good data that came out first thing. So mortgage applications came in at 0.6. The previous was negative 1.9. Aside from that, mortgage market index 334 versus 332. So it goes to show that demand is increasing. And then speaking of demand, we also have a lot of chatter about this, a 50-year mortgage. Although might not be the greatest for consumers, but for Opendoor's business, this would be huge. So you have a lot of good data to show that demand is currently increasing, as well as most likely for the foreseeable future. So definitely good stuff is coming. Aside from that, though, we have a lot of kind of shutdown optimism. So the vote and all of that is going to be most likely completed tonight. So that could be a good catalyst rolling over into tomorrow. Although you are seeing in some cases, not Opendoor's case, but in some cases, you're seeing some consolidation today because of this. So I think generally we all knew that the length of the shutdown was going to cause some kind of repercussions to the market. And so now it is being stated that GDP could go down by 2% in Q4 because of the shutdown. So not necessarily the best, but given the market and everything, sometimes it could be somewhat forgiven, dependent on kind of what is happening at the time. So we'll just have to wait and see how that does kind of play out, but that will be ultimately a kind of a Q1 2026 type of problem. But nonetheless, though, and aside from that, Opendoor, there has been no news from them today. There was a actual Form 4 that came out first thing. So for those of you that watched my Opendoor video yesterday, I said that don't hold your breath. Most likely a Form 4 will be submitted in about 1 or 2 business days. I did not anticipate them to really expedite that, and they made it a priority because they wanted people to see that 𝗂𝗧 bought. So first thing this morning at 8:27, there was a Form 4, which did show right here. Transaction code P, meaning that 𝗂𝗧 used his own money to buy the stock. It was done on the 11th, 125,000 shares at a price of 803. So legitimately, 𝗂𝗧 just went to the open market and bought stock. This is very, you don't see many CEOs do this. Sometimes you do on occasion, like I brought up even yesterday, Anthony Noto, CEO of SoFi. He's bought quite a lot. Nothing recent though. I think most of his transactions were like 2024, but nonetheless though, most as well CEOs want a discount. This legitimate went to the open market. So this is crazy stuff. And then over and above that, you did have Morgan and as well, I believe his wife, both commenting saying that they're going to be buying some stock. So it looks like Erica said that we bought 100,000 worth of open this morning. And this isn't just a job, it's a mission, and we stand behind it 100%. So this is huge, and they're showing receipts as well, right? The only thing is, it says that we bought, so I don't know exactly how the breakdown is. So for instance, if Erica bought, we won't be seeing a Form 4. If this was under Morgan, then we will be seeing another Form 4. So just keep that in mind. This transaction did occur on November the 11th, so this was posted yesterday. When it comes down to shorts, at the time of doing this video, they are returning 2.87 million shares, 23.3% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 166.73 million shares overall being shorted. Still see some signs of manipulation, so cost to borrow minimum is negative, meaning that there is brokers out there physically paying people to short Opendoor. So definitely some sketchiness is happening behind the scenes, but given the recent price action, since their earnings and shorts not really doing all that much, it is fair to assume that there is going to be more of a squeeze, not a mother of all short squeeze type of scenario, but most likely a lot of them are going to start to kind of mitigate some risk and return. So realistically, in the short term, I see kind of for it to be sub 20%, most likely. One thing as well I do want to share with you is the Elliott Wave Technicals right now is projecting for it to be between that 980 and 1064. So this is as well something to keep in mind. While I'm actually on here, there was a new rating that did come out. Not the greatest, but there was a $1.40 sell. Mizuho, Lloyd, who has a 64% success rating. And Mizuho, interestingly enough, I believe had a $8 price target that was posted. So they somehow amended it from $8 to $1.40. So I don't know if that's an error on tip ranks or potentially Mizuho just doing some weird error. But nonetheless, having bearish analysts, it's normal for Opendoor, right? So as a consensus, 376 is that price target, representing a 57.5% downside. If you want all this information to be completely free, take a look at 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗧𝗧, link in the description below and also the comments. But looking at some of the options, 28 million in calls, 5.4 in puts, and then 46% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be kind of around that $9.50 to $10 range by the end of day Friday. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 8. So given where we are currently, there's definitely a lot more upside. These are some of the transactions occurring on the secondary market. So this really does signal that big money is buying up Opendoor. And even this nice boost right here when it kind of broke out there, that's not retail. That is some institution buying. So definitely we could be seeing a lot more kind of transactions. Probably not any more 13Gs, but most likely we'll be seeing, I guess, for the Q4 13Fs, probably a nice notable increase. Aside from that, these are some of the transactions occurring on the dark pool. Given how active shorts are, it is fair to assume that most of this is linked to them. With it right now at 886, it is trading between this R1 and the pivot, so 922 and 790 is going to be the next strong support and resistance point, and then followed by 1003, 1136. So Elliott Wave Technicals is projecting for it to be in the short term between that R3 and this R2. So for those of you that like options, definitely consider looking at doing a long call. I know I've brought this up on occasion. Some people, I think, have even messaged me saying that they did it and they're already up like solid double-digit percentages. But just to put it in perspective, realistically, if you feel $11 is on the table, that works out to be like a 24-25% increase in the common stock. But if you feel it's going to go there by, let's say, December, you can make 62-63% on a long call. So definitely take the time to research options because they can be very profitable and very beneficial. But looking today on the actual chart, things are good, getting above that 50-day moving average, so that's a big deal for momentum stocks. Looking at the market position for today, a lot more willing buyers and a lot of willing buyers around that $8 range as well, so that's going to be another good support level. But aside from that, there really hasn't been that much in articles really coming out. So for timing purposes, I think given everything that's happening, it'd be very advantageous if Kaz hopped on and did a interview on Bloomberg or something. So I think that would be massive for Opendoor, but nonetheless, clearly the market really likes what it's seeing, 4 consecutive green days, and it hasn't done that in a very, very long time on a side note. So even when it was running up, it didn't have 4 consecutive days. So this is the first time, I believe, so far in 2025 that has occurred. So let me know your thoughts on Opendoor. One final thing though, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.